Well, thanks. And joining us now, we have a special treat. We have the Bishop of Portland, Maine here, Bishop Richard Malone, who was a former auxiliary bishop of Boston, and many might remember him from many of the shows he did on Catholic TV a few years ago. Bishop, it's great to have you here on the show. I thought maybe we could start off by talking a little bit about the United States Conference of Catholic Bishops' recent meeting, in which they talked about 5 specific tasks that they were going to get into, and one of those is the faith formation and sacramental practice, and I wondered if you could talk a little bit about that.
Sure, and I'll tell you very briefly how we came to those. For a long, long time, the work of the bishops nationally to strengthen the church in our country has happened through the work of committees, many, many committees. But we're trying a new approach now. We're trying to get the whole body of bishops, all the bishops, to weigh in on what we think are, right now, at least 5 priorities for the next few years. And as you say, one of those is faith formation and sacramental practice. We've always been concerned about that. But recent studies and surveys that have been done by the Pew Forum and the CARA people in Washington have really alarmed the bishops by confirming something we all knew from experience and anecdotally, that it really is a minority of our baptized Catholics in many parts of the country, a minority who practice the faith in a regular way. So one of the ways to get at that is to have a really effective evangelizing kind of catechesis that helps to arouse people's faith as well as to inform them in the faith. And of course, there are many things that go into being a faithful Catholic, but as you and I know, to celebrate the Eucharist regularly is the very heartbeat of a Catholic's life.
What are some of the ways that you can enliven or strengthen faith formation?
This is what we're working on right now, Kevin. We're trying to put our heads together and come up with a lot of new ideas. We have a lot of wonderful resources already.
Yeah.
You know, we have the Bishop's Evangelization Plan, Go and Make Disciples. I'm afraid that sits as a dust collector on too many shelves around the country. It's a wonderful plan. We have the Catechism of the Catholic Church, as you know, Boston Catholic Television, or Catholic Television we call it now,
yeah.
has done all kinds of work on the Catechism and the Directory for Catechesis. Our Hearts Were Burning Within Us, the document on adult faith formation. We've got all, Renewing the Vision for Youth Ministry, we've got all that stuff. The new adult catechism is a tremendous gift. But we need to be able to catch the attention of our people to be able to use these resources. So a lot of emphasis just last night in a very creative brainstorming session we had was that we really have got to use all of the developing electronic media much more effectively than we have been.
I wondered if you could talk a little bit about the relationship between faith formation and sacramental practice.
The sacraments are really one of the defining and constitutive elements of our Catholic faith. They're really very much central to being a Catholic. And some of the surveys that have been done have been very, very disturbing in terms of the number of adult Catholics right now in our country who say that the sacraments are really not essential to their faith, or that you can be a good Catholic without going regularly to Mass on Sunday. And this is patently false. You might be a nice person and all that, but you're not a faithful Catholic apart from certain of those basic expectations. So that's a really important indicator, which is why we chose to connect faith formation and sacramental life.
Now I understand that you've just been named the head of a committee for the United States Conference of Catholic Bishops. Could you tell us about that?
A couple of years ago, the 2 committees, one on evangelization and one on catechesis, merged into a single committee called the Committee on Evangelization and Catechesis. And that committee has been recently, until today, chaired by Archbishop Wuerl. And last year at this time, I was elected chair-elect of that committee. And now I, for 3 years, will be responsible for working with my brother bishops on that committee and in the conference to move forward our agenda.
And technology can be such a great help in evangelizing as well, with so many of the new advances.
Well, yesterday, yeah, absolutely, because many of us bishops, not all of us, but many of the bishops are like I am, and we're pretty proud that we know how to do email and get onto the internet. But yesterday, we had a fascinating session with a person who is a consultant in all of this rapidly expanding media, all this electronic stuff. And she really startled and stunned us with all that we don't know and need to know. Because if we don't get on board with all of this stuff, all the iPods and YouTube and all that kind of stuff, MP3 or whatever it is, all that business. There's probably a new term for it all now.
Yeah.
Since yesterday,
It just changed now.
yeah. She said by the end. Yesterday, she said by the end of the session, she said my knowledge on this stuff will be stale because there'll be something new. But if we do, this is how so many of the youth and the young adults communicate. And if we're not on board with it, we're going to be left in the dust.
Thanks so much for being on the show, Bishop. It was good to see you, and thanks for your thoughts as well. We're going to turn it now to the rest of This Is the Day.